Welcome back to the channel. Today, we'll begin a slow and quiet journey to create Kaozhou Yixing teapots. Simple objects, yet ones that have been part of everyday life in China for thousands of years. I begin this journey by walking up the high mountain slopes. There are no loud machines here, only wind, stone, and earth that has rested quietly for many years. The clay I'm looking for is Teochew clay, a material that has silently accompanied teapot makers through countless generations. Once the clay has fully dried, it becomes hard and heavy. I use a large hammer to break it apart. Each strike repeats itself without urgency, forming a steady rhythm between hand and earth. The clay must be broken down, so that later it can come together again in a more natural way. Sometimes, to create something new, we must accept that it begins with breaking. The broken pieces of clay are placed into a hand-powered grinder. This machine has existed for a long time, passed down from one generation to the next. It is not fast, not modern, yet it continues its work with quiet persistence. The clay is slowly ground into fine, even particles, light and soft, as if returning to its earliest state. After grinding, the clay is passed through a sieve. The rough fragments that remain are left behind. Only the finest particles are allowed to move forward. I pour the prepared clay into a large ceramic jar. Water is added, and everything is gently stirred. Clay and water meet, not rushing to dissolve, only slowly adapting to one another's presence. The mixture is left overnight, untouched, unforced, allowing time to do its work. Once the clay has set, the water is slowly drawn away, leaving behind only the essence of the earth. It is placed into a fine cloth bag, and heavy stones are set on top. Water is pressed out, little by little. This process is repeated over 3 continuous days. There is no clear sign of when it is enough, only a feeling that develops with time. After that, the clay is then transferred into a large mortar. I use my feet to knead and refine it. Each movement makes the clay softer, more flexible, more willing to listen. This is when the clay and the body begin to find a shared rhythm. The clay is pressed into a large block, wrapped in cloth, and placed into a jar to rest overnight. This pause is essential. Like people, clay also needs time to settle, to stabilize, to prepare for what comes next. The following day, the clay is cut into workable portions and shaping begins. This work requires strength, but even more, it requires listening. The hands do not force the clay, they simply guide it along its most natural path. Experience does not make things perfect, but it helps recognize when to continue and when to stop. Each teapot carries its own quiet breath. Behind the quiet surface of teapot making lies a craft shaped by generations of experience. Creating a teapot is not only about forming a shape, it is about understanding how clay responds to water, to pressure, to time, and to fire. Each type of clay behaves differently. Teochew and Yixing clay are especially valued because they become strong after firing, yet remain slightly porous. This allows the teapot to breathe with the tea, slowly absorbing aroma and changing through years of use. The preparation steps, drying, crushing, grinding, sifting, soaking, and pressing, are not separate actions, but parts of one continuous flow. Removing excess water stabilizes the clay, while periods of rest allow it to settle, reducing the risk of cracking during shaping. When forming the teapot, the hands do not force the clay, they guide it. Every curve and every thickness affects heat retention, the flow of tea, and how the teapot feels when held. In the end, fire completes the process. Firing does not simply harden the clay. It preserves every decision made before. A good teapot does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be in harmony. After shaping and drying overnight, I begin trimming away the excess clay. This is a stage of refinement. Nothing new is added, only gently removed, allowing the form to become lighter, more balanced. The teapot slowly reveals itself, clear and still. Once the body is complete, the spout and handle are attached. Each part must be placed correctly, not only to look right, but to feel natural when held. A softer clay is used to bind the pieces together. In time, these joints will fade as time itself finishes the work. After days of drying in the shade, the teapot is ready for the fire. The clay is firm yet still fragile, holding every mark left by the hands that shaped it. From this point on, the outcome is no longer fully in human control. The teapot enters the kiln in silence, entrusting its final form to fire and time. Before lighting the fire, I seal the kiln with bricks and clay. The opening is slowly closed, cutting off the outside world. Inside, heat will rise, time will stretch, and nothing can be rushed. Once the kiln is sealed, all that remains is to wait. The fire is kept alive for 3 days and 2 nights. Flames rise, soften, and rise again, their rhythm steady and unhurried. Wood turns to embers, embers to heat, and heat slowly transforms the clay within. Inside the sealed kiln, nothing can be seen, yet everything is changing. When the fire finally rests, the kiln is left untouched for 5 more days. At last, the teapots are complete. Their color, their surface, and their fine markings tell a story of earth, fire, and time. This journey is not only about making a teapot, but about continuing a tradition that has endured for thousands of years in Chinese history. Thank you for staying until the end of this journey. If you found a moment of calm here, please leave a like and a comment so I can continue sharing these quiet moments with you.